Well, good evening again. At this time, if you find your seats, we're going to get our ceremony started. We love these opportunities to sit, to reminisce, to be together, but also to remember. And we are here tonight to honor those who achieve athletic success. But as you know, so much more goes into a Central Catholic high school student. It's the whole student Central Catholic works on. Their mind, their body, their spirit. And our students would not be successful student athletes without all of our educational pillars in place. I'd like to share a short video that reflects the well-rounded education and shows what Central Catholic and why it is such a special place.
There's a special place on Cherry Street that excels at being central to life. It's a place that has remained a cornerstone of the Toledo community for over 100 years. Rooted in its strong faith formation, academics in the classrooms, and energy in its many extracurricular activities. Where the arts and music come to life with Broadway productions and sounds of choirs and concerts. It's where you can roam the halls and campus and feel extremely proud to be part of the larger Fighting Irish family. It's where relationships are forged that become friendships for life. A place with a diverse student body, faculty, and alumni base that has been central to success for so many leaders in our community and beyond. It's quite a place where champions are developed and made, and titles are won in every season. This place, a high school like no other, is truly our hometown favorite. Come discover this special place on Cherry Street. Central Catholic High School, central to life.
We are grateful to be truly central to life for so many. And as the video said, Central Catholic has been a cornerstone, a pillar of our community for over 100 years. And we plan on doing it for 100 more and beyond. Because for us, it's not just a job or work, it's a mission. We continue to see great growth in our school community. The last 2 years, we've had the largest freshman class in the Metro Toledo Catholic schools. And we are over 50 applications ahead year-to-date compared to we were last year as it relates to incoming freshmen. These are not small steps, but ones that have been made over years of intentional work in a positive direction. I have the joy tonight of helping MC this evening, but with me on stage is Father David Kidd, our priest leader, and Mr. Greg Dempsey, our athletic director. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Greg Dempsey to come up to introduce tonight's first inductee.
It is my honor to get to introduce our Citizens Award, Steve Scarborough, class of 1984. Unfortunately, we are living this posthumously tonight. Steve was a friend to Central Catholic and the many here who passed away in early 2020 suddenly. And over the last 2 years, you get to reflect on many things as we head into tonight. And the other day, talking with Carrie at school and having some good laughs and memories. And she goes, what should I say on Monday night? And she, what would you say? And here we are. That's how I ended up here. She liked what she heard. And I tried preparing something, and it's not really something you can prepare for when speaking about Steve and really putting it into a speech form. And it went back to me to 2010. In football, we have our medical trainers on staff, and we have student trainers that sign up and help them every year. And going through the room, our trainer at the time introduces us, oh, this is a new trainer here. Her name's Elena Scarborough. She's doing a great job, she's perfect, she has an interest in this, and she's gonna work out because you can't just take everybody, or you end up with people that aren't serious. And one day on the field we're practicing, this gentleman walks out, and football coaches are paranoid, so you're walking up and saying, who's this guy, what does he want? And he introduced me, I'm Steve Scarborough, class 84, I played for Coach Toth here, and my daughter is the new student trainer. And it just kind of became commonplace that you would see Steve around more and more. And as he came around more, he'd talk about how his daughter told him about how she was getting to know the players and the kids and how much she really enjoys being around them, and it made him want to come around more. And then there was a night in Mishawaka, Indiana, where Elena got taken out on the sideline, and I was worried he was going to yank her. And when he came out to practice that next week, and actually wanted to know if he could have a copy of it. So Elena proved her toughness that night besides her skill. But over the years, Steve became more and more involved. Not only, he started out probably, I would say, supporting football, and then he got to know more kids at Central Catholic, and became involved in more sports. And in mid 14, 15 years, he became more involved in athletics as a whole. And he obviously provided sometimes financial support, sometimes it was mentorship to coaches, sometimes it was mentorship to young people that needed help. But he became more and more involved, and it ended up where Steve then joined a subcommittee of our board, then became a board member, and then it led to Carrie becoming an integral part of our school community. And it was just amazing how Elena becoming a trainer back in 2010 reignited this alum's involvement in the school. I know the love was always there, but it was just such an amazing experience to have him around. I know the athletic parts, and I know there's some things that people know he did in terms of the board membership, the financially supporting the science department, or whether it was helping at the scholarship, or even emceeing the dinner auction one year. But there were many things that not everybody got to see that I knew about, and those were kind of some of the special moments. And like I said, there were many times I'd be facing something, and he was a great person to bounce ideas off of, whether you were questioning yourself or questioning the situation you were in. Because if you read about Steve, he was somebody that constantly learned and grew throughout his life. He was never standing still. And when you have people like that around you, you need to take advantage of that. And he was such a great part of our school. And I'm honored to be up here tonight. I'm sorry to be up here giving it the way we are, but I could not be any prouder to introduce Carrie Scarborough to accept the Citizenship Award on behalf of her husband, Steve Scarborough.
Greg is so good, he doesn't need notes, but I need them. These are my daughters, Elena and Olivia. I'm Carrie Scarborough. Thank you, Greg, for those amazing words on Steve. As I look out at this incredible group, it is hard to believe we have been a part of this community for 14 years. Elena started at Central Catholic in 2008 as a freshman. It was then that we, the Scarborough family, found our new hobby. Central Catholic High School became one of our favorite pastimes. Steve was back as an alum and couldn't have been happier. He enjoyed reconnecting with friends, the priests, and making new friends. As a family, we enjoyed tailgating before football games and cheering for the Fighting Irish. This sport became our Friday night fun for many, many years. You could always find Steve on the sidelines with his buddies. And yes, Steve may have gotten in trouble a few times by the refs for putting his own take on coaching. If you know, you know. Winter was basketball, followed by dinners and drinks with friends. We even squeezed in baseball when time allowed. It is truly what we loved doing together. And now you can find us with some little guys that are true Irish fans at our football and basketball games right now, soon to be baseball. Olivia, she joined the Irish family in 2012, and the fun just continued. What made Central Catholic High School so special was that it wasn't just a school for our daughters, but a place for all of us to be involved. Volunteering, attending school events, such as the school auction, the baseball raffles, parking lot parties, and Steve's class reunions. We also enjoyed watching Elena and Olivia participate in their sports, rowing and swimming, and tennis. Some of my favorite memories of Steve were watching him interact with the Central community. He was a friend and a confidant to so many and served as a vessel of knowledge for countless individuals. When it involved students, Steve loved interacting with them, hearing their stories and plans for their futures. He was a dependable mentor who provided guidance and insight to those that asked and that were in need. Tonight, we stand here with mixed emotions. We miss him now more than ever. However, we are filled with joy because Steve actually knew about his induction into the Central Catholic High School Hall of Fame. I will never forget that afternoon. Steve was sitting on the couch, January 15th, 2020. Yes, I checked his phone. Greg Dempsey had called. When Greg and Steve finished talking, I walked out into our living room and asked Steve about the call. Well, he had tears streaming down his face, and he told me the news. For those of you that knew Steve, he never liked recognition for his achievements. Well, this one hit him, and he was so touched. Steve passed away unexpectedly of a heart attack while working out in Boston, almost 2 weeks later. So tonight, we celebrate you, Steve Scarborough. It is an honor. You so well deserved. You were humble in your giving, and so many students and families are forever grateful for your generosity. We are so proud of you and proud to be your girls. We will continue to do our best to keep your legacy alive at Central Catholic High School. Tonight, I want to say thank you to my family, to our Irish family, and our dear friends for being here with us. You are the strength that holds us up and moves us forward every day. We would not be where we are today without all of you. We love you. Go Irish.
And now the Coaches Award. Jim Whalen was the head boys basketball coach at Central Catholic for 5 seasons, from 2008 to 2014. His overall record was 110-31. And his coaching highlights include a City League title in 2010, the program's first regional title, and a trip to the state Final Four in 2011. And the first boys basketball Three Rivers Athletic Conference title in 2014. I'd like at this time to introduce Jim Whalen, being honored tonight the Athletic Hall of Fame Coaches Award.
How would you like to follow that act? That's tough. I was going to try to be funny in the beginning. I was going to like stand way back there in case somebody wanted to come up and slap me. That was a joke. I didn't go anywhere. First of all, I'd like to thank Central Catholic Hall of Fame Committee for this tremendous honor and for selecting me into the Hall of Fame with such an elite group of coaches, former players, and teams. The folks that are being inducted tonight, congratulations. The people who have been selected over the years are without a doubt the foundation of what built Central Catholic to begin with. I am humbled and honored to be here today, and I can't tell you how excited I am for this opportunity. Special thanks obviously go out to my family. My wife Susan, she had work commitments tonight, so she couldn't be here. But my son Chad and daughter Brooke, my daughter-in-law Megan, and also our new granddaughter, Quinn Leona. She's now 2.5, so yes, I am a grandfather. That's why my hair is so white. Also, I would like to recognize special thanks to Bill Axe. Bill, are you here? Yeah, Bill, stand up. Thank you so much for all you did for my family and for hiring me. Mike Padgett. Mike, you here? Coach Dempsey was also part of the hiring committee back in 2007. Mike Coucher was also part of that selection committee. And then also Father Hardigan, even though I wasn't Father Hardigan's first choice as head basketball coach at that time, I do need to thank him. And I real quickly want to tell just one quick story. I promised I wouldn't get into great details, but we were playing in the state tournament, 2011, and we are getting pummeled in the first half. Some of you might have been there and saw that we weren't very good in the first 2 quarters of that basketball game. We're walking to the locker room, and I looked over at Don Christie and I said, you know what? You talk to him. I can't handle this. So he walks into the locker room and he starts just blistering our players. He is laying out every bad word you could possibly fathom. F-bombing and all kinds of bad things. I'll keep it PG for the young kids that are here. I'm standing in front of Coach Christie, and the players are all looking around, and Father Hardigan's standing right behind Don Christie as he's just blistering our team. Halftime gets over, our kids all respond, they go out and play a great second half. Unfortunately, we lost the game, but I walked up to Father Hardigan and I said, Father, I'm really sorry about all that. And he goes, Ah, no worries. I've heard it before. So to me, he could have said, wow, that kind of behavior or that kind of language isn't going to be tolerated. Nope, he was really cool, really calm, and I really appreciated that he handled that with such class. Also, special thanks to my parents, Russell and Jane Welling. They loved CCHS. My mom passed away in May, and my father is still battling. He's at St. Francis, the Gardens of St. Francis Nursing Home. But he absolutely loved Central Catholic, and so did my mother. Stories about the Glee Club and stories about games, whether they were football, basketball, baseball, it didn't make any difference. And you know you're making a huge impact on somebody's life. I stopped coaching in 2014, and my dad, after I was through coaching, made a big fuss every Friday night if I didn't have his radio tuned in to CCHS football every game. He had to have this radio was older than I am, but he had to have his radio so that he could listen to Bill Clark and the CCHS football game. Even this past year in the nursing home, that radio still sits next to his bedside. I'd also like to thank administrators and board members, past and present, former assistant coaches and staff. I'm fortunate to have Sean Cullen here tonight, was on staff with us. But you can't do the things that we did in that shorter period of time without good staff members. Also like to thank former players, our students, their parents for all their support. To me, when I saw what turned out for our state semifinal game, it was like a sea of red. Standing on the floor and looking up and seeing what that looked like is one of the greatest memories I think I've ever had in my coaching career. And that tells you the kind of love that people have for our school at Central Catholic. Also like to thank the alumni and the people who passed, have built 100 years of great things at Central Catholic. When I got the call that I had been inducted into the Hall of Fame, this was 2 years ago, and based on the pandemic, I've had 2 years to write this speech, and Jim Olson says to me on the phone, Jim, you've got 5 minutes to speak. And I won't tell you what I said after that about the 5 minutes, but I do want to say just a few things before the music or the hook comes out. When Brooke Welling came to Irish for a Day, it was 2005, there was a pep rally, it was on a Friday. She had visited 4 other schools, and at that time, we're walking to the car, and like every other visit, I said, well, Brooke, how was your day? And she said, it was great. And then in the same breath, she says to me, Dad, this is where I want to go to school. And that's where it all began for us in the Welling family. If she wouldn't have chosen Central Catholic, there's a really good chance that I would not be standing here tonight. When Brooke was a junior in high school, I had the honor of coaching right next to her on the sideline. In my coaching career, that had never happened. They were always in the stands and what have you, but that honor of standing next to your daughter while she's cheering the Irish on both her junior and senior year, I will never forget. So I wrote down some other things, because there's so many stories and so many memories that I have about Central Catholic. So I'm just going to read these off, and I'll let you come to your own conclusions. Number 10 was Irish for a Day from Brooke Welling. Number 9 was we went to the Student Athlete Orientation Brooks freshman year. Coach Bellarucchia will appreciate this. So we're all excited. Everybody's going to branch out into their sports. We're walking down the hallway of the building. And Brooke was a pretty good athlete in track, so we just assumed in the fall she was going to sign up for cross country her first year at Central Catholic for a fall sport. So I said, Brooke, the cross country coach and people are going to be over at that room. She goes, yeah, Dad, you know, I've been thinking about this. I think I want to try tennis. And I looked at Brooke and I said, Brooke, number 1, you don't have a tennis racket. And number 2, you've never played before. And she looked over at me and my wife and she goes, but I really want to try it. I think I could really enjoy tennis. We walk in, there's nobody there other than Lisa. She's the only one in there. And Brooke was the only girl from that particular class that had showed up for the orientation night. And the rest is history. You know, she played tennis all 4 years, loved it. We met great people along the way, going to matches. And I think by the time that she was a junior or senior, she actually became pretty decent. Coach probably wanted to kick her off at some point in time, but she stuck with Brooke and ended up being a pretty solid player. And also, wish she could be here tonight, but she's now living in San Diego. Number 8 was Brooke's homecoming selection. She was in the top 5 for her senior year. That was a great experience for us. Number 7 was the city championship, my second year at Central Catholic. And one of the greatest moments ever of my entire career was watching the student body lift Marty McDonald up on their shoulders and chanting, Marty, Marty, Marty. He was from Ireland. And we had beaten St. Francis in that particular game, and I think that was our first city championship in quite a while. But the most touching thing was afterwards, Bill Clark had me on the radio, and Marty's parents had called from Ireland, and that's the first chance I had to talk to Marty's mom and dad. Memory number 6 was kind of an interesting story. Nate Hobbs was one of my all-time Central Catholic players. I love Nate Hobbs. I would tell Nate Hobbs stories all day. If you have time afterwards, I'll tell you 20 of them. But the greatest Nate Hobbs story ever is we're playing at Rogers, and we're warming up, and all of a sudden, Nate goes out of the warm-up line, and he runs into the hallway. And I looked over at one of my assistants, and I said, where's Nate going? And he just goes, I don't know. So I start walking out towards the hall to say, where's he going? We're 5 minutes from the game. What could be happening here? So I walk out in the hall, and I don't see him, and all of a sudden he's back in the receiving line. I thought, I don't know how that happened. So I walked over to him and go, Nate, what happened? Where'd you go? And he goes, Coach, I had to throw up. And I said, throw up? Yeah. And he goes, yeah, throw up. I go, are you sick? He goes, no, I'm just nervous. So after the game was over, and we were down 11 points with 1 minute and 30 seconds to go and came back and beat Rogers, but after the game was over, I go, Nate, what's that all about? And Drew Lehman comes up to me and says, Coach, he does that all the time. And that's the first time I had ever seen it, and it was kind of shocking to me. Story number 5 was cutting down the nets. Several, obviously the 2014 championship in the track was a special night at the Sullivan Center. but there were other times that we cut down nets as well. Story number 4 was Drew's statement to me in the summer prior to his senior year. He said to me, Coach, he's looking at the schedule for 2011, and he says, we're not going to lose a game. And I looked at him, I go, have you seen what's on our schedule? We've got St. John's twice, we've got Whitmer twice, we've got all these teams. Yeah, we're going to beat them all. Now we didn't, but that confidence of what Drew had that particular summer, and Domingo was here tonight, but they believed that they could beat anybody on any given night. And I think that's why they were special in 2011. Us making a run for the Final Four was not a mistake. It was those kids that believed in what we were doing on a day-to-day basis. Story number 3 was the Whitmer game, semifinal 2011. And I think the most shocking thing about the game itself was, 1, halftime score was 9-6. 2, all the verbiage coming from the Whitmer fans towards me as I was walking to the locker room, and I won't repeat some of that verbiage. How excited our guys were at halftime to be up by 3, and them performing the game plan that was flawless in the second half. And I went into the locker room and said, you know what? We got them right where we want them. They are going to come out, they're going to put Wormley on the bench, and they're going to chase us. They're going to try to speed up the game, and then we really dismantled them in the second half. But that game in itself, I think was a big change, because then St. John's was in the district finals, so they didn't know what this, are we going to stall, are we going to play fast, what style are we going to give to them, and we ended up beating them pretty handily as well. Number 2 was the semifinals of the regional of that particular year, and I've never seen so many people come out to Savage Arena in green. It was St. Patrick's Day, and our entire student body was green. All of our fans had green on. I mean, it was quite a venue. We ended up beating Findlay that particular night in the semis, and then went on to beat Stowe then in the regional finals. And then lastly of my stories or memories was obviously the Final Four. Of my entire coaching career, which even includes 2 national championships at the junior college level, this was by far the pinnacle of my career. I mean, walking out in front of 11,000 people, and the school support of what they brought down to Columbus on that particular day, to me was amazing. And it's something that I will never forget. In closing, I can't help but not say that whatever this video that Kevin had put up earlier, that's what Central Catholic is, and that's what it meant to not only myself, but my entire family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Jim, when you acknowledged Padge, I had this moment where I think Padge has been around as long as every single inductee here tonight. Is that about right, Padge? When I first got to Central Catholic, when I heard how long he'd been there, I asked if his employee number was 2. I didn't know if it was Monsignor Harrington first and Mr. Mike Padgett after that. Speaking of which, though, I do also want to draw attention. We have a wonderful Hall of Fame committee who really, give up their time to make sure that every year we have good inductees, make sure they're vetted, and our subcommittee of our board, the athletic committee, and just thank them for their support and guidance. Any of those committee members here tonight, will you please stand? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Also, briefly, while I'm making people embarrassed, a special thank you. Jim Olson, please stand. Jimmy. Doc. He's our alumni athletic event coordinator. He puts these events on, and we couldn't do it without him. And we thank you, Jim, for your tireless efforts to Central Catholic High School. My last little bit is just some news and how grateful we are, not only for these inductees, but for wonderful things that have happened in our community and beyond. And so, found out that Bill Axe was given the Naismith, State Naismith Award earlier this spring. And two of our already inducted members, Frank Krompach and Erica Haney, are both going to be inducted into the State Basketball Hall of Fame this spring as well. It's great to have these awards here, but also throughout the state as well. Our next inductee is Kyle Burkhart. He earned 3 varsity letters in baseball. As a junior, he was named First Team All-City and First Team All-State. As a senior, he was First Team All-Track and First Team All-State. Kyle was also a place kicker for the Fighting Irish football team. He was named First Team All-Track, First Team All-District, and First Team All-State as a senior. Kyle kicked field goals of 48, 52, and 57 yards, all breaking at the time 20-year-old school records. I'd like to invite forward our next inductee, Kyle Burkhart.
I'm actually a little disappointed that I wasn't Jim Willing's favorite player. I'd first like to start by saying how grateful I am for being inducted into the Central Catholic Hall of Fame. When I first received the call from Coach Padgett informing me of this honor, I asked him, is this for sports or academics? He said, being smart and being a smart ass are not the same thing. Choosing Central Catholic was the first big decision that my parents allowed me to make. I met a lot of great friends, great teachers, and great coaches. Specifically, I'd like to thank Coach McCarrick, Coach Dempsey, and Coach Padgett. There are a couple of things that separate these guys from any coaches that I've known. They have the ability to mentor and teach players on an individual level. These guys know that not all players react the same to one coaching style, and I think they all did a fantastic job giving other players and myself the confidence that we needed to perform. They also have the ability to turn their faces as red as the scarlet on their uniforms when they're angry, which is what it took to get through to me on most occasions. These are coaches who will go above and beyond for their athletes, and that impression has had a lasting impact on me. It is because of their constructive criticism, time, and energy that they have devoted, which creates an environment where athletes can thrive. I'd also like to thank my family and all of the support that you guys have given me throughout my life. Especially my parents, Jim and Veronica. Not only the financial sacrifice that you guys have made, but the constant support that you have shown me. You guys have taught me the right way to handle a lot of different scenarios. And at the time, I may have wanted to handle things differently, but it is with your guidance that helped me through some challenging situations, which is why I'm so lucky and fortunate to have you in my life. The continued support from my family, friends, and beautiful girlfriend means everything to me and is what keeps me going. And I just want to say, even though my name will be the only name to go on that plaque, I will always remember the commitment, the time, and the sacrifice that these people have given me. If it weren't for all of you involved, I would not be standing up here today accepting this award. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Brianna Jones, class of 2009. Brianna was a member of the varsity basketball team for 4 years. She was named first all-team city as a junior and senior, and first team all-state her senior season. She received a full ride scholarship to play basketball at the University of Illinois and transferred to the University of Toledo for her final 3 seasons. Ladies and gentlemen, Brianna Jones.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank God for this opportunity. Without Him, none of this would be possible at all. I want to thank my family for making all of this possible. My dad in particular. You are like the #1 fan, and both my parents, the sacrifices that you all have made for me and my sister, just to get us through school, we greatly appreciate it. And my family as well for being here. My coaches, Coach Favorite, McGirt, I want to thank them. I know they're not here, but without them, again, and them seeing that the potential in me to push me, to drive me, to motivate me, I can't say thank you enough for them. My teammates, all of them, they're phenomenal since my freshman year to senior year, just them pushing me, inspiring me. I had a great group of seniors that led the way when I was a freshman. Evan Herman and Mallory Straw, they were phenomenal. They just paved the way in all of those prior to me coming to Central. Central was the best decision I could have made. It set me up for success and led me all the way here. It taught me like discipline, time management, and balancing life, and juggling all the things that are thrown at you. So to everyone who's getting inducted, congratulations, and thank you for your time.
Our next inductee is Emma Cortez from the class of 2008. She ran cross country and was a member of the Lady Irish track team for 4 years. She was named All-City for both sports as a senior. She was an individual champion at the City League cross country meet and at the district meet, finishing more than 7 seconds ahead of the second place runner. She finished 30th at the state country meet and was the highest finish of any Northwest Ohio competitor that year. Ladies and gentlemen, Emma Cortez.
Good evening. This microphone is at my height, which is great. Thank you so much for this honor. This is really exciting. I do have a lot of memories of actually seeing the plaques in the Sullivan Center. So when I got the call from Coach Dempsey a couple years ago about being inducted, that was my first thought, because Coach Karp, who is the track and cross country coach when I was at Central, he had us run laps at the top of the Sullivan Center. So not like super conducive to doing laps because it's a square, as you know, but all the plaques are hung up along there. And so that was always kind of maybe like a subconscious inspiration for us to run around there and to see that. And so what made me think of one of my favorite Carp memories when I talked to Coach Dempsey on the phone. My junior year, I tried out for the basketball team. I had played JV, but then, as you can see, was not destined for basketball greatness, being 5'5". And so I was cut my junior year, and I was bummed out about it. And I had seen Carp in the hallway like later that day, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I was like, Carp, I got cut from the basketball team. And he was like, "Great," and I was like, "Great." And he's like, "You can run indoor track now. This is great," and which obviously worked out well in my favor, but it just cracks me up because that is so Carp to say something like that. And but my biggest takeaway from my time at Central, not only in the classroom but in athletics, is that I really learned about being present and understanding the process of whether that was a project or especially in training for cross country and track, and being in the present moment and really looking at long-term goals and setting those up and then working towards those. That's something I still use every day, and so that's a life skill that I learned at Central and honed over at my time at Central, and so that is a huge part of my life, and it started at Central Catholic, so it feels, or it is a great honor to be in the Hall of Fame, and I want to thank my family, who's always been very supportive of me, and all the faculty members and the coaches that I had along the way at Central Catholic, because I still use those life skills that I learned there today. And I'm still running at a competitive level, so I still carry that with me when I started running when I was 14 or 15. So just thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it, and I'm a very proud Central Catholic alumni, and now a very proud Central Catholic Hall of Famer. So thank you.
Our next inductee is Matt Kriegel, class of 1987. Matt Kriegel was a 3-year letter winner in football. During his junior year, the team finished 8-3, qualified for the playoffs for just the second time, and were Toledo Blades poll champions. He was a captain his senior year, and the team finished 7-3 and won the Red Division and was the City League runner-up. As a senior, Matt was named First Team All-City, First Team All-District, and Third Team All-State. I'd like to introduce Matt Kriegel, a new inductee to the Central Catholic Hall of Fame.
I've obviously, as a teacher and a football coach, I've given a million speeches, and I had myself talked into this was going to be a very similar situation. I was going to get up here and talk the way I always do, and this is going to be life as usual. And I saw the class of 1987 back there, and it got into my head a little bit. There's some guys back there I haven't seen in 30 years, and the fact that they showed up to see me tonight is pretty cool. So thanks to you guys. I haven't seen you. When I thought about giving my speech, and I knew I'd be kept at about 5 minutes-ish, it's when you wrap up everything that went into this, it's hard to do that. And when I was thinking about what to say, I'm a football person. I always have been, always will be. And I thought about the NFL channel and the My Football Life thing that they do. And, in terms of that, I kind of thought through where I began and where I've gone with that. And all that began at Central. My dad was the head football coach there from the late 1960s to the early 1970s. And some of my first memories as a kid were sitting on the stairs between the back gym and the front gym, waiting on him when he was in the office with a couple kids. I distinctly remember sitting there over and over. I'd go to football practice with him, and he'd have a couple kids in there, whether it was good or bad, you could hear it from the hallway. And I'd sit there and just kind of take that place in. And it always struck me that building's different than most school buildings that you're going to go to. There's just something about that place. My football journey began there. Then, of course, obviously, I chose Central Catholic as my high school. And I played football there and, had some success. And played with a great group of guys. The other part of my football journey, I met my wife Jennifer when I was coaching at Central Catholic. I played at Central Catholic, had a really good career there, went on and played at Bowling Green State University, which she pointed out to me. I said nothing about my bio, and I probably should have, but after graduating from Bowling Green State University, I went back to Central. The story bears me talking about. I had dated two different girls before Jen came along while I was coaching at Central, and both of them kind of met their demise because they didn't like high school football. One of them, Dempsey and I were just talking about this. One of them is an administrator at Massillon High School. She had set up that I had an interview for an 8th grade coaching job in Massillon, and she thought this was the greatest thing ever. And I said, I'm going back to my high school to coach. And so, things kind of parted from there. I was dating another girl, and when we got towards the end of summer, I started telling her, all right, football season's coming, here's how the schedule's gonna go, and obviously there isn't much of a schedule. And she said, hey, listen, you can do whatever you want. You can coach football, but don't expect me to go to football games. I don't like football, I'm not gonna go to football games, and things didn't last much longer than that. And so, I was thinking, maybe it's gonna be a while, we'll trudge on with football and do what we do, and I was really enjoying myself. So Jen and I met at a University of Toledo Bowling Green football game, which, by the way, Bowling Green won. We got to talking about things, and she at the time was going to Ohio State University. I had already graduated. She was going into education. She really liked sports. We talked about football, and she had a brother who was a basketball coach, and kind of hit it off. And 3 or 4 weeks later, we were playing at Wake High School. And at the time, before we had a stadium, we played a lot of our home games at Wake, which I loved that stadium. It was a cool place to play. And towards the end of the game, I turn around and look, and here's a farm girl from Haskins, Ohio, that drove to the east side of Toledo by herself and was sitting in the front row watching a football game. And that was enough for me. She's the one. So, we started our football life from there. While I was at Central teaching and coaching in the late 1990s, my daughter Madison came along. They're going to sit here and cry because I will not be able to look down at them again. But, I've got 3 beautiful daughters who, Maddie was the first to come along while I was teaching and coaching at Central. And, things progressed from there. From Central, I went on to a coaching career at Perrysburg High School. Eventually had some success. It was a long trail. Maddie's senior year in high school, but we developed our life around football. I would coach on Friday nights. Jen and the girls would get there from the time they were little tiny kids. The other coaches' wives would be handling them, Ellie was always a pain in the ass and she'd be crying. It was always a mess. We'd go back to our house after the game, after the game was always our family time. We turned on all the post-game shows and watched those and sat around as a family. And we did that from the time that they were little kids until they were ready to go off to college or wherever they went from there. And before Maddie's senior year in high school, before she went off to college, she said, this is a mess with me. I think I'm going to miss this the most. And we were like, what do you mean? Well, in our family, I'm going to miss this the most. Sitting here on Friday night and doing what we do, this is who we are. This is what we've done, our whole life. And, that hit me, that we built our whole life around football. I need to acknowledge my family here. First of all, my dad. My dad sacrificed a lot. My dad, like I said, was the head football coach at Central Catholic High School and had a great deal of success there. Went on to be the head football coach at Bowser High School. And, Mom was mom. Mom stayed home. Mom held down the fort, and Dad worked. And when it came time to come up with tuition, Dad worked 3 or 4 jobs and put in a lot of time so that I could go to Central Catholic and play football and eventually earn my way on to the next level. So, and whatever it took, whether it was a pair of basketball shoes or a pair of cleats or a size 8 helmet to fit my big head, because they didn't really stock those. He came up with the money. He spent a lot of time and effort doing that. I had an older brother, Jeff, who died when I was 10. That was obviously, being 10 years old, he was 13, a really tough time for our family. And when that happened, my dad was a very successful high school football coach, and he got away from coaching to be with his family and spend a lot of time with his family. That, among anything else that's ever happened in my life, kind of shaped who I became with my wife and my girls. Knowing that family, I've had numerous opportunities. People asking me, are you ever going to go to the next level? No, I like what I'm doing here. I like the family time. I like the time with the high school kids. I love what I do. And that all started at Central Catholic High School. When you talk about football family, my grandfather never played sports. He was one of those guys in the 1930s that had to quit school early, had to quit high school early and go off to work. Went off to World War II, had 6 children, worked his whole life to carve out an existence. My grandfather had 3 sons. All 3 eventually earned football scholarships. My dad being the first. My dad was the first in his family to go to college. My dad went to the University of Toledo. My Uncle Mike, who passed away a few years ago, earned a scholarship to go to Bowling Green State University and ended up graduating from Vietnam. Like a lot of guys from his era. And then finally, Uncle Jim, who's sitting here with us. Uncle Jim, you guys probably recognize him, was an all Big Ten offensive guard at Ohio State. Spent some time playing professionally. I'm sure nobody's ever heard of Woody Hayes before, but Uncle Jim played for Woody Hayes and blocked for a guy named Archie Griffin. So the fact that my grandfather, those were his 3 sons, and then I was a grandson, obviously, and I had the opportunity to play college football. Amazes me that he never played sports, but he instilled that work ethic that that obviously fits football. My brother Chris is here. My brother Chris is 4 years younger than I am, so he came to Central the year after I graduated. Obviously, I was blessed enough to have a good football career at Central. I went on to play at Bowling Green, got a scholarship. And at some point his freshman year, a teacher asked Chris, "Hey, are you Matt Kriegel's brother?" And this 5 foot tallish, 80-pound kid said, "No, he's my brother." Anybody's ever known Chris? Chris was top 5 in his class, had a great baseball career at Central, and ended up playing at Hillsdale, and has been kind of a testament to my dad. We both went into education. Chris is a principal, was a really good wrestling coach, has had his own great career, and all that kind of stems from Central Catholic. A story about Uncle Mike. He passed away a few years ago. A guy named Bob Pefferly. Anybody knows University of Toledo football? He's a Hall of Famer at the University of Toledo. When I got hired on at Perrysburg High School to work, Bob was our interim superintendent. And I got into, even though I had been teaching at Central for like 9 years, I had to get into their new teachers program, and I had to go through the orientation thing. And Bob was reading down the list of people, and he came to the name Kriegel. And a lot of times with Uncle Mike, if you came to the name Kriegel, there was a pause, and they had to sit and stare at you because Uncle Mike had his own way of doing things, and it was usually bad. And so, Bob Pefferly kind of stopped and looked around and said, he pointed right at me. And I thought he was going to say, "Hey, your Uncle Mike did this to me one time," that kind of thing. And he said, "I don't care what anybody says. He was the best out of all of you." And it was kind of a cool thing to me that Uncle Mike didn't get a whole lot of accolades for his athletic ability, but here's a Hall of Famer from the University of Toledo saying, "This is the toughest guy I've ever seen in my life." So, along comes me. All these guys were great athletes. The one common thread all these guys had is they were great athletes and they could all run. Well, I had to fake it. I couldn't run. It was never my thing. And I had some things that, I was pretty good at. The offensive line coach that I started with when I started at Bowling Green State University, an old guy named Bob Rumlin, who he always walked around with a pipe hanging out of his mouth, had no neck, he was a college fullback who played for Doak Perry. If you're going to point out a guy in a room, that guy looks like a college fullback. He was him. And one of the first days we were doing conditioning and doing our thing, he was sitting there with his pipe hanging out of his mouth staring at me. And I, of course, "What's up, coach? What do you think?" He said, "Son, you are slower than shit through a tin horn." Now, that is the worst analogy I've ever heard, but that was kind of me. Couldn't run, but I kind of found my own way in the world of football. My freshman year at Central, I tore up an ankle, of all things, the day we had the pilgrimage to the cathedral. We got back to school and we were getting ready for basketball practice, and I was being a freshman dunking a Nerf ball. And I landed on a guy's foot and turned my ankle around backwards. Well, that's obviously, there goes basketball season. The trip down the stairs through the old weight room back and forth to get treatment, there were always guys lifting weights. And a guy named Brian Rome, who was a running back for us back then, challenged me in kind of an impromptu weightlifting contest. And I had pretty good genetics. I ended up winning the weightlifting contest, and that kind of became my thing. So I didn't have the speed, but I was really strong, and I worked my tail off at weightlifting. Jim Riley's sitting out here. He came on when I was in high school and really helped me with that. The other thing I had was enthusiasm. If you go to Central Catholic High School, you understand enthusiasm. You understand where that fits into athletics and where that can carry you in life. And trust me, enthusiasm carried me a long way as an athlete. And the last thing I had that made me a pretty good athlete was toughness. And I've had my share my share of injuries over the year. They say when you get to a certain age, there's things that hurt you when you're in your 20s that don't hurt you when you're in your 50s. I'm 53 years old, and I fell asleep without the proper pillow configuration the other night. And I woke up and couldn't move my head a couple days ago. So, and with a head this size, that's a problem. So I've got a nephew who's a chiropractor. And luckily I got in to see my nephew, Dr. Alan Limes, Perrysburg Chiropractic. You can write it down. He adjusted me and I got good enough to stand here and talk, but toughness was a big thing with me because I couldn't run like those guys. I wasn't as good an athlete as they were, but I was pretty tough and I could get through injuries, and my thing became, I could get in your head and I could grind you down and beat on you, and eventually in the fourth quarter, I'm gonna work on you a little bit. The toughness of all the people here I've mentioned tonight came from my mom. I explained earlier, I had an older brother who died, and I can't look down at her right now. Mom's the one that got us through that. Mom was the one that showed the way through that, and me, my brother, my dad, whoever, she got us there. And I've learned a lot of lessons about getting through tough times and tough things from my mom. A great story about my mom, several years ago, she started to have some abdominal pain, and they found out that she was having trouble with her gallbladder. And like a lot of things that Mom did, she waited way too long, and in the words of the doctor, when they actually did CAT scans and that kind of thing, the doctor said, that thing is absolutely rotten. We need to get it out of her. So and by the way, my mom's 5 feet tall. She's sitting up here, and obviously I'm not. I was a tenth of her body weight when I was born. We went, and my mom had to have her gallbladder taken out. So the surgery started to take much longer than we thought it was going to. And Dad and I were sitting there, we started to get a little bit worried about what was going on. And finally the doctor came out. And he said, yeah, it was absolutely rotten, but we found out she had 2 hernias that I fixed. And we were like, 2 hernias? How long has she been walking around with that? He's like, a long time. She said 2 hernias that she never said anything to anybody about. So while she was laying there in recovery, my dad leaned over and he said, Joe, the doctor said you had 2 hernias. Where'd you get that from? And without opening her eyes, she pointed at me. So it was, obviously mom's where we got our toughness from. Mom kind of, she's literally the toughest person I've ever seen in my life. One of the things I wanted to do towards the end here is I wanted to tie things back into Central Catholic and what a cool place that is. My former teammates, coaches, administrators, everybody involved in that place. What a great group of people to work with, and what a neat place to be involved with over the years. Talking to Coach Dempsey, Coach Toth has been advocating over the years to get more offensive and defensive linemen into the Hall of Fame. And I played with some really great ones, trust me. My first 2 years, or my sophomore year at Central Catholic, most sophomores that go on to a scholarship in football, their sophomore year, they're all city or all district. My job was to get my butt kicked every day by Tim and Todd Olson. We had identical twins that were offensive guards, and they were both 6'5", 250, and I'd line up over Todd, he'd destroy me, and I'd line back over Tim, and he'd destroy me. And that makes you tough. That gets you ready to play football at the next level. And I was very fortunate to play with those kinds of guys and to be able to go through that with teammates. Obviously, my teammates. There's guys sitting back there that I haven't seen in 30 years. And you talk about a shock to the system. To walk in here and see them tonight was absolutely awesome. So, obviously, a lot of thanks goes out to Nick Toth for everything he's done for Central and everything he's done for football. Nick Toth's in his 70s. I think, if I get this wrong, he's going to be pissed. But, Nick Toth is still coaching football and still working with kids, and every once in a while he still gets a hold of me, and, that you talk about a lifer. That guy's going to be doing that for the rest of his life. Last thing I want to do is I want to talk about Tom Santoro, my offensive line coach when I was here. T was Italian. He was never bashful about telling you about his guys and how many times, at the time, I can remember it like it was yesterday because I've heard it 100 times. At the time in the late 80s, early 90s, it was, hey, stop, let me tell you something. You know how many offensive linemen, Division I offensive linemen I had in 13 years? And he'd go through it every day, how many Division I offensive linemen he had. He was very, very proud of that. Tom was responsible for getting me back to Central Catholic. After finishing my senior year in college, I went to a basketball game. Tom was there. He grabbed me and said, hey, why don't you come coach with us? And I was hooked in right off the bat. He was responsible for that. A couple weeks before Tom passed, Jen and I, our niece, married Tom's nephew. Andy Stickle, he played football at Eastwood, was a really good athlete. Our niece Erin married Andy, and we got together, and we had, after the wedding, Tom and I actually had a lot of time to talk. And one of the things Tom had already retired for coaching, I told him, I'd like you to come out and see my team and spend the day with my team and bounce ideas off me and just be Coach Santoro. And he's like, man, I'd like that. And then we spent the last 15, 20 minutes of our conversation talking about Italian food. Anybody knows T? Man, that guy was an absolute connoisseur when it came to Italian food. And, who knew when we finished that conversation, we talked football and we talked Italian food, and then walked off on our own ways. That would be the last time I'd see him alive. Somewhere out there, Tom Santoro's smiling down. He got a lineman in the Hall of Fame. And if there's anybody that deserves it, it's Tom Santoro and everything he did at Central Catholic. So, thank you for everything tonight. This is a huge honor. Thanks to the class of 1987. You guys made my night. And thank you to my family. This has been awesome. Thanks.
Based upon the look, Matt, that your wife gave you after the story of the second girl, you may have some further conversation needed. Okay. Our next inductee this evening is David Pickerel from the class of 2009. David was a member of the Fighting Irish Wrestling team for 4 years. He was named first team All-City as a sophomore, junior, and senior. His senior year, the team won the City League title and finished the season 10-0 and ranked second in the final poll. He was named first team All-District and honorable mention All-State. He competed at the state championship at 215 and finished as the state runner-up. Ladies and gentlemen, David Pickerel.
After Matt's speech, I'm going to keep this short. Like Emma said, I did a lot of laps around the Sullivan Center between football, wrestling, and coaching all for the state physical education. You look out plaques on the wall, and like how cool would that be to have one? So this is pretty cool. And got a lot of good memories at Central. I met my beautiful wife Danielle there. And yeah, so got a couple people to thank. Coach Benson, there on and off the field. Coach Nalpo, same thing, on and off the mat. And Miss McGee, classroom. And that's about it.
Our next inductees is the 1989 baseball team. The 1989 Irish baseball team started the season with a record of 5 wins and 7 losses before getting on a roll and winning 15 games in a row, eventually losing the regional final. The Irish finished the season 20-8 and as Red Division runner-up and regional runner-up. The team was led by head coach Jeff Mulcarrick and assistant coaches Mike Johnson and Mike Padgett. I'd like to introduce the 1989 Fighting Irish baseball team.
Everybody, let's go. DJ, the stage is sturdy.
We're all up here. Coach Mulcarrick called me last week and said, would you be willing to say a few words on behalf of the team? And I said, sure. I was probably at Jed's at the time, but I agreed to it, and here we are. So honestly, up until yesterday, I had absolutely no idea what to even talk about other than, you know, these guys are a family to all of us. And each and every one of us feel like brothers, for sure. It doesn't matter when or where we're at, we're gonna see each other, and it's gonna be like we're right back on Joey Brown Field in '89, hitting our knees on the manhole in right field. But up until yesterday, and Tim Shepperly, I'm sorry, I'm gonna use you and your wife, Nico. I had absolutely really no angle of where I wanted to go with this until I saw Nico drop Tim's mother off, and Tim walking her up to the baseball facility at Mercy. And it was like, you know what, this is perfect. This is what it's all about. It's Tim coming in from Indianapolis, or any one of us coming in from wherever we're at any one time, and grabbing your mom and bringing her to a facility that's probably the best facility in the state, if not the country, as far as I'm concerned, and showing her where we've come as an organization, as a Central baseball organization, coming from Joey Brown, which I'm never gonna complain about it, but to where we're at now, and to me, it's all about family. And whether it's blood or part of your Central family, it's the people. And we all talk about Central Catholic, the big giant building on Cherry Street. Such a big building, bricks, mortar, It's not brick and mortar. We are the brick and the mortar. The folks that go through that school, that make the memories, that still come back here tonight and do this stuff. We are the brick and mortar. Whether anyone else says it or not, I don't have a clue whether or not high schools, other high schools within these city limits do this. I could care less, because look at this. The brick and the mortar are all here right now, having themselves a time and laughing and yucking it up. And Matt, I could have listened to you for another hour. It doesn't matter because it's... No. It was amazing, because he used to beat the hell out of me when I was a scout. So I'm glad the Olsons did it to you. And I want to thank all the parents that are out there that made the sacrifice to allow every one of these guys to go to Central, because we never would have been doing this if it wouldn't be for the parents that decided to work 3 or 4 different jobs to make it happen. Chris Clement and I would never have left South Toledo to go to Regina Caeli. I told Ty Freeze I thought Regina Caeli was an Italian dish. I mean, I had no idea where the hell it even was until we got in Chris's Reliant K car and drove down the trail and had no idea. We didn't have Google to finally get there. Wherever that was, Blessed Sacrament, St. Hedwig, St. Agnes, West Toledo, 2 people in South Toledo. I get it. Nobody's coming to our end of town, whatever. So the games were secondary. It was all about the extended Central family. Whether you're on the diamond, the court, the field, it's all about us, the bricks and the mortar that make it happen. 2 big bricks aren't with us tonight on this team. Greg Friend, who was in and out of the organization. We loved Greg. He passed senior year. Chris Jaswicki, who is as big a brick of that as an analogy could get, right? I mean, the man was a big man. So, and he passed in '94, and his sister Terry and niece Christy are here, and I'd like them to stand up and come forward. And Ty has Chris's jersey, number 22, right? For the 2 of you. He was a special part of our Central family. Unfortunately, not here with us anymore, but never forgotten. He hit a ball at Northview and then landed at Lawrence College. So, on behalf of the coaching staff, which Coach Melchior, Coach Padge, Coach Johnson, and the whole team, Kurt, Chris, Andy, Joe, Chef, Dave, TJ, Ty, Mike, Alpo has 12 toes. I want a lot of content. Later on, I'll show those to you. Joel, Wags. Greg decided to quit baseball and do football. I don't know if that worked out for him or not, but I guess it did. So, once again, thank you very much.
What a fun-loving group there. I did ask Greg earlier this week, I said, Greg, I thought you played baseball in high school. Did they omit you? And he's like, no, I quit that year. I said, what year to quit baseball? So, we don't have time for his stories tonight, Steve. There's something about the words of coaches, right? There we go. Well, I want to take a moment. I'm going to direct your attention to our video screens here in a moment before our next group is brought forward, which is the 2009 girls tennis team. The 09 tennis team was undefeated in match play, finishing with a 14-0 record. They were the first Central Catholic tennis team to win a league title. 4 players were named first team All-City: Morgan Delp, Sydney Delp, McKenna Hunter, and Anna Sherman. Morgan Delp was named City League Player of the Year, and head coach Lisa Bellaricki was named City League Coach of the Year. Morgan and Sydney Delp advanced to the state tennis tournament in doubles that year as well. Now, if you direct your attention to the screens for a short video of the tennis team.
Our goal was to try and win the City League Championship. We had a very nice team, a lot of depth, a lot of returning players from the previous season. 2 sisters, Morgan and Sydney Delp, some of the best singles players in the city. Anna Sherting, another great singles player, so that added to the depth of the team. Our hope was to win the City League Championship. The goal was never to be undefeated, but it was to beat St. Ursula and Notre Dame. They were our 2 toughest competitors.
This year's team was a very good team. I thought we had a lot of depth on our team. We had good singles, but we also had some vital doubles that helped us win a lot of vital matches. And we were like a little family, I thought. We were a really close team.
This season we were 15-0. It was fantastic to win the City League Championships, to see the girls achieve something that the school has never done. I'm a former alumni and player for Central Catholic, and something that we've never done when I played. So it was thrilling to win it as the coach. Great to see the girls achieve something that will remain in history for the school.
Every single player was there, every single match, cheering us on, playing. Everyone just had the positive spirit. No one was negative or down, and all of that contributed to our City League win. I think everyone on the team equally was important. Nobody was more important than anyone else. Even if someone wasn't a regular starter, they still had a really big part, whether it was cheering or if it was helping somebody out, getting them water. And not the same people started every time. We changed it up sometimes. So everybody had the role of playing and cheering everyone on, so it was pretty equal.
I am very fortunate and very lucky to coach girls that are super nice girls, get along really well. We had 11 girls on the team, and the group of girls that I am able to coach, they're very mature, great workers, hard workers. They get along, they push each other, they drive each other on the court. They're competitive, they are great sports, and it's an honor to coach such a great bunch of girls. And without the team concept, without being team players, we would not have had the success that we had.
I think about our team as a whole as a very close team. We had a lot of team bonding, and I think that helped us on the court because we were comfortable with each other and our movements, and we were together every day, so we were all basically like best friends.
Everyone pushed each other to make everyone better. We were competitive with each other, and then that converted to competitive against the other teams.
The team really developed over the course of the season and grew. It took a few matches to get into it, to figure out the lineup. Really had an idea and a good sense that Morgan and Sydney Delp would still be playing first and second singles. The combination of our doubles partnerships was going to be the key to our success for the season. And the first big test was when we played St. Ursula, and I switched around the lineup a little bit and put Anna Sherting in at doubles to strengthen our doubles lineup, which was a risk, and it really paid off. Bethany Diaku, who was a senior, first time playing on the team, really showed me her heart and won a big match at third singles. Took a lot of pressure off the team, and we actually beat St. Ursula 4-1, which was a surprise to, I think, to me, to the team, and to the other teams in the city leagues. It got the motor running.
Winning the city championship this year was the most exciting thing for me.
When I realized that this was the first time we've ever won a city championship, it didn't really even sink in, really. I was just so surprised and so honored to be a part of the first team that has ever done that. It was an amazing feeling.
It was a really big honor to win the first city title ever. Our president and principal and everyone was at the game, and it was just great seeing the look on everyone's faces.
We hope that in the next season we can repeat and defend our title. And the goal is going to be to win the City League championships. We hope to make a trip to Columbus and represent Northwest Ohio in the Ohio Team Coaches Tournament.
I'm only a junior, so I'm really looking forward to next year, my senior year. I think we're going to be just as good. I think since we've seen the success we've had this past year, we've tasted it, we're going to go back, want it this year, and even take it to the district, regional, hopefully maybe even state level as a team. I think that we're going to have good leadership moving up and going to be able to do really well.
I love being a co-captain of the team. Being a senior is bittersweet, and I have a lot of confidence that the team will do just as well next year as they did this year. And I'm sure that LB will open any new players with open arms. Girls, just remember next year to keep up the good work, keep on loving each other in LB, and keep listening to LB, and keep listening to Tina Turner.
I'm proud we had that in the archives and we're able to bring that back out. So let's welcome up our 2009 Lady Irish tennis team.
Well, I had no idea that that video was going to be played. It seems just like yesterday. That might have saved me a lot of, long time writing this stuff. Because everything that was said on there is in my little speech here tonight. I just want to thank the Hall of Fame Committee on selecting this 2009 tennis team for this great honor. I'd like to congratulate all the inductees here tonight, especially my brother Andy and the Regina Chaley boys for the 1989 basketball baseball team. I'd also like to recognize and congratulate the Scarborough family and Steve Scarborough. Olivia was on the tennis team in the late 2000s, nicknamed her Oscar at the time. And then Coach Jim Welling, Brooke was on our team here. She's not here tonight, also being inducted tonight. So
Congratulations. We join an elite group of athletes, coaches, and people who have left an indelible mark on Central Catholic sports. Preparing this speech, I was like, what do I say? How do I get started? Once I get started, I probably would get on a roll. And of course, I prayed about it, and one night I woke up, morning I woke up, and this phrase was in my head, all for one and one for all. I don't know where it came from. Obviously, it probably came from the Holy Spirit, Father, you, I don't know. And I'm thinking, what does that mean, all for one and one for all? Well, so I looked it up. It means that all the members of a group support each individual, and each individual support the group. And ladies, that really is our team. All 11 of our team members supported each teammate, and each of these ladies supported the team. As you saw in the video, it was really more about a team result, winning the city championship. You have to know a little bit about tennis in the city league. Tennis is an individual sport, but it's also a team sport. And we have, to make up to play a match, you have 5 individual matches going on. You have 3 singles courts going on and 2 doubles courts, so 7 girls are playing. And they're really playing for themselves first, but I think our team really played for the team first. And basically that's all for one and one for all. Simply put, we were a sisterhood. It meant more to the girls to win for Central Catholic than to win for themselves. In 2009, these ladies made tennis history. As a team, they accomplished many firsts. They are making history tonight by being the first Central Catholic tennis team to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Central Catholic, as you know, just celebrated their 100th anniversary. The Toledo City Athletic League started in 1926. A century is a long time, and we did it, girls. 2009. There must be a few Cleveland Browns fans and maybe Detroit Lions fans here tonight. Imagine being on one of those teams. Year after year, you have 1 or 2 superstars, but never a Super Bowl ring. Then, first things start to click for your team. And you beat the team that you can't get past. That's how it was for us in 2009. The Lady Irish tennis team was never in last place in the City League. But when it came to the other Catholic schools, we fell behind. We fell behind St. Ursula and Notre Dame. Their coaches, like me, were former players at the respective schools. And that year, our first big win of the season was against St. Ursula. That match started out shaky as Shannon, one of our top 7 players, was sick and couldn't play. So we moved the lineup around, and Bethany Diaku played third singles and had a big 3-set win. The team prevailed, and we won 4-1. That match lit a spark in our team, and we started to believe we were all for one and one for all. A week later, we faced Notre Dame. Tensions and nerves were heightened. The team led by singles players Morgan and Sydney Delp, and doubles teams of Anna Shirting and McKenna Hunter. And then Maria Mitchell and Shannon O'Hearn made history again. For the first time in years, actually decades to be exact, we defeated Notre Dame. The score was 4-1. Our confidence soared. We became celebrities. I don't even remember making that video, by the way. The Blade called us. We were featured in a full-page spread in the Blade. The pictures were even in color. We headed undefeated into the City League tournament, another first in history, an undefeated season. Our record was 15-0. The pressure was on. We had to stay present. I like to say, what time is it? Girls, what time is it? McKenna? Time is now. It didn't matter that we had just beat St. Ursula and Notre Dame. We couldn't act like we had won. We couldn't act like we're going to win the championship. The time was now. All for one and one for all. On the final day of the tournament, it came down to us against Notre Dame. We each had all 5 spots in the finals. We had to defeat Notre Dame twice to be City League champions. Victory was sweet that year. History was made that first weekend in October, and the Lady Irish tennis team won the Toledo City League Championship, a first for Central Catholic team. And as you saw, they mentioned the future years, and that championship, this team right here behind me, and the members that aren't here, they lit a fire in the tennis team, and we've had a decade of success in tennis, and these girls started it all. We won individual matches and the city championship at first singles, second singles, and second doubles. Morgan won at the first singles and earned Player of the Year. Sydney Delp was the champion at second singles. Morgan and Sydney were both undefeated in singles for the season. Morgan and Sid, you guys tore through your opponents like you tore off those basketball warm-up pants that we had that season. The Delp sisters earned their second berth into the state doubles tournament, earning them second team All-State. We rounded out the city championship title with a huge win, and this is what gave us the edge, was the second doubles team of Shannon O'Hearn and Maria Mitchell. BCSN called and invited the team to the station to be featured. I also did a radio interview. We must have done a video because, I don't even remember that. It was our turn to be celebrated and be recognized. Winning the city championship and being undefeated are not the only reason this team is special. We had 4 girls from this team move on and play college tennis. They are Morgan, Sydney, Shannon, and Anna. I think that's the first 2. This team had talent, they had depth, they had chemistry. They also had the benefit of a lot of them going to school together. Tennis, other sports have the benefit of playing CYO or travel team, not tennis. But we had 5 girls that went to Leal. They are Morgan, Sydney, Anna, Maria, and Lexi. So they already knew and had a connection with each other. Speaking of connection, I believe in the 6 degrees of separation. The idea that all people on average are 6 or fewer social connections away from each other. This team is built of players with a CCHS, heritage, and connection. I'll start the connections with me. My parents were high school sweethearts here at Central Catholic. Don't worry, Mom, I won't mention what year you were in school. I wouldn't want to give away your age. But my dad played football with Morgan and Sydney's grandfather, John Delp. My folks knew Grandma Jane Delp and Grandma Jo Lenke from Central. My brother and sister-in-law were even high school sweethearts at Central, and they were best friends with Anna Schurting's mom and dad, Peggy and Dave. And they are also friends, lifelong friends, with McKenna Hunter's aunt and uncle, Tom and Kim Hunter, all CCHS alumni. Another connection for me on the team was with Lexi Brown's grandparents. I volunteered with Marcia and Fred at the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Casey Boyle went to school with her aunt. I could go on and on, but I hope you get the idea that we were connected, I think, through our past at Central Catholic. But the most special part of this season is how all the generations came together to support our team. It seemed like a high school reunion for our fans at every match. It was a special time, and I have fond memories of all the friends, families, and classmates, past, current, and future, that came together to watch our girls win the first ever Toledo City League title. We had and still have the most enthusiastic and supportive fans. This team and its fans ignited a flame, like I said, that still burns. All for one and one for all. Every year at our tennis banquets, I highlight 3 special players. I give out a Shamrock Award for Spirit, and that year Shannon O'Hearn earned the Shamrock Award. I give a Coach's Award to a player that encompasses everything you want in a player. A great sport, a great athlete, hardworking, coachable, and someone that goes above and beyond. That player was Sydney Delp. And when it came time to award the MVP, I couldn't choose. We were one for all and all for one. So in 2009, the MVP award and this year's Hall of Fame inductees are Casey Boyle-Smith, Lexi Brown, Morgan Delp, Sydney Delp, Gurney, Bethany Diaku, McKenna Hunter Bonamigo, Maria Mitchell, Maggie Nassim, Shannon O'Hearn Mano, Anna Sherding, and Brooke Welling. I was very blessed to have coached these 11 young ladies, and like the Tina Turner song that you heard playing, we often played that at practice. Ladies, you simply are the best, better than all the rest, better than any team you ever played. And congratulations on joining this Hall of Fame.
In a moment, all inductees this evening asked to gather on your right, my left, over here, please, for a photo. Again, all inductees, please gather over here in a moment. I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening to celebrate these new Athletic Hall of Fame inductees. We appreciate your time and support as we recognize these great members of the Irish community. A little bit of a shameless plug here. Spring is often a busy time, and you heard a little bit about baseball and softball teams up and running, track, lacrosse, whatever it may be. Come out and support one of our wonderful teams. May 6th, 7th, and 8th is going to be Central Catholic's musical. Proud to get that back at the Valentine this year, where we'll be performing Kiss Me Kate. Friday and Saturday shows are at 7 and Sunday at 3 p.m. May 22nd, hard to believe, I see a few individuals in the crowd who are seniors. We'll be celebrating our baccalaureate and commencement activities on May 22nd. And June 3rd is an important date for the athletic department at Central Catholic, and that is our annual golf outing. If you haven't joined us yet, please plan to do so. It is a wonderful day, and all these proceeds that day benefit all of the Fighting Irish athletic teams. As always, stay in touch with Central Catholic. Check out the school's website. Follow us on social media. Thank you so much for your presence here tonight, your support, your ongoing prayers. Know our gratitude for all that you've done for Central Catholic. Take care, God bless, and go Irish.